The loud phone call arrived at exactly 4 o'clock in the dark, cold morning. I was already completely awake for 2 long, quiet hours. I sat alone at my kitchen table holding a cup of cold black coffee. I stared at a beautiful wedding photograph of my dead daughter Sophie. My sweet daughter Sophie died in a terrible dark boating accident 9 long months ago. The local police never found her body in the deep cold lake. My wife Evelyn and I buried a completely empty wooden box. The massive heavy grief slowly destroyed our quiet, peaceful home every single day. The early morning silence felt incredibly heavy and very deeply lonely. My sad, tired wife was sleeping upstairs in our dark bedroom. Then my small phone buzzed loudly against the hard kitchen table. The sudden sharp noise scared me completely. I looked down at the bright screen and totally stopped breathing. The bright glowing phone screen showed 5 simple impossible letters. The screen clearly displayed the name of my dead daughter Sophie. I did not move my hands or take a single quiet breath. I stared at the impossible bright name in pure absolute shock. Dead people do not make phone calls. I am a retired structural engineer, and I completely trust solid facts. I know the clear difference between impossible dreams and cold, hard reality. But my shaking hand slowly reached for the bright ringing phone anyway. I answered the impossible quiet call and pressed the cold phone against my old ear. The quiet dark line was completely silent for 1 long terrifying second. I heard faint uneven breathing in the distant background. My old tired heart started beating incredibly fast inside my chest. Then a very quiet, fragile voice finally spoke to me. It was absolutely, perfectly, undeniably her sweet voice. "Dad, please do not say my name out loud today." The sweet, familiar voice whispered softly into my shaking ear. "Just listen to me very carefully right now." The cold coffee cup slipped from my old hands immediately. It crashed onto the hard kitchen floor into a million tiny sharp pieces. I did not feel the hot coffee or the sharp broken glass. I only heard the beautiful, sweet voice of my dead child. I fell down onto my cold, shaking knees in the dark kitchen. Sophie was actually calling me from the dark grave. My logical engineer brain completely broke apart. I whispered her sweet, beautiful name despite her strict, quiet warning. I am a loving, protective father, and my deep instincts are incredibly strong. A short, heavy silence followed my quiet, desperate whisper. Then her voice returned, sounding much more careful and very tightly controlled. "I am still alive," she said. She said she was completely safe, but needed my absolute total silence. She begged me to pretend she was still completely dead today. She told me I could not tell her grieving, sad mother anything yet. I sat on the cold floor holding the heaviest, most dangerous secret in the world. The quiet voice on the phone sounded incredibly serious and very deeply tired. Sophie explained everything to me very quickly in the dark morning. She said she had to disappear completely to save her own life. Her handsome husband Marcus was planning to murder her for insurance money. Sophie said she needed much more time to build a strong legal case. She needed undeniable, solid proof to put Marcus in a dark prison forever. She begged me to keep her massive, heavy secret completely, entirely safe. I could not tell her sad, grieving mother anything yet. She said Marcus was incredibly smart and very dangerously careful. If he discovered she was still alive, he would run away immediately. Or he would find a new terrible way to finish his deadly job. My silence was the only strong shield protecting her precious life today. I listened to my sweet daughter with a very tight, heavy chest. I am an old structural engineer and I understand heavy physical burdens perfectly. I know how to carry massive weight without breaking or falling down. I knew I had to become the strongest foundation for my daughter. I told Sophie I would protect her secret with my entire life. I promised to act like a perfectly normal, sad, grieving father. I would not tell Evelyn or any police officers about this phone call. Sophie thanked me softly and ended the quiet, secret call quickly. I sat alone on the cold, hard kitchen floor for a long time. The dark morning sun slowly appeared through the small glass window. My quiet, peaceful retirement life was completely officially over now. I was a secret soldier fighting in a very dark, invisible war. I cleaned the broken coffee cup from the kitchen floor very carefully. I threw the sharp, broken glass into the dark trash can. I washed my cold, rough hands and looked in the clear bathroom mirror. I practiced my sad, broken smile for the long, difficult day ahead. Let me tell you exactly what happened 9 long, painful months ago. My sweet daughter Sophie lived with her charming husband Marcus. Everyone in our quiet town thought they were a perfectly happy, beautiful couple. But a massive, terrible monster was hiding right behind his bright, warm smile. One quiet, rainy afternoon, Sophie cleaned his messy, dark home office. She looked inside his desk drawer to find some simple tax papers. She found a very strange hidden folder carefully locked away. She opened the thick folder and found a massive life insurance policy inside it. The new insurance policy was worth 3 million rich, clean dollars. It was completely payable to Marcus if she suddenly died in an accident. Sophie felt a very strange cold feeling in her empty stomach. Then she found printed secret emails hiding right behind the heavy policy. The secret emails were between Marcus and a beautiful young woman named Elena. Elena was his secret romantic mistress for 2 long years. Marcus told Elena to be very patient and wait quietly. He promised her they would be incredibly rich and completely free very soon. Sophie's hands started shaking incredibly violently holding the white papers. She quickly checked his personal laptop computer on the large wooden desk. She found terrifying dark digital internet searches in his hidden web history. The digital proof was absolutely completely undeniable and very totally horrifying. Marcus searched exactly how to break a fast boat engine perfectly. He searched how to secretly damage important safety valves on a small boat. They had a romantic weekend boat trip planned for that exact same week. He was going to drown her in the deep, cold lake. Sophie realized her charming, handsome husband was a cold, waiting killer. He was planning her violent death while smiling at her every single morning. She put the dark papers back exactly where she found them. She walked out of the quiet office carrying a massive, deadly secret. Sophie was incredibly smart and very deeply terrified that dark afternoon. She knew she could not simply call the local city police officers. She had absolutely no hard, solid physical proof of his deadly plan. Marcus would easily lie and say he was just curious about boats. If she told the police, Marcus would know his secret plan failed. He would pretend to be a highly insulted, innocent, loving husband. Then he would patiently find another faster way to murder her quietly. She needed to play his dark, deadly game much better than him. She found a very smart, expensive private lawyer in the big city. The smart lawyer connected her to a powerful secret protection group. They helped vulnerable women escape completely from dangerous, cruel men safely. They listened to her terrifying story and formed a perfect, brilliant plan. They decided to give the greedy monster exactly what he wanted. They planned a perfect fake accident on the deep, cold, dark lake. They wanted Marcus to feel totally victorious and completely incredibly powerful. He would confidently claim the rich insurance money and reveal his dirty crimes. During the weekend boat trip, Sophie wore a hidden special life jacket. When the boat engine failed, she jumped into the freezing cold water. A secret fast rescue boat pulled her out very quietly and safely. Marcus thought she drowned completely in the dark, massive lake. Marcus played the sad, crying, broken husband absolutely perfectly that day. He cried loud fake tears for the busy local police officers. He told everyone his sweet, beautiful wife drowned in a tragic, sudden accident. He went home to his dark, empty house feeling incredibly rich. Sophie moved to a small, quiet town very far away immediately. She changed her name and lived in the dark, silent shadows. She waited patiently for the secret investigators to gather all his dirty secrets. She was a silent ghost hunting a greedy, confident killer. Now I must live with this massive, heavy secret every single day. My poor, sweet wife Evelyn cries at our wooden dinner table every night. She looks at Sophie's empty, quiet chair and cries hot, sad, wet tears. Her loving, motherly heart is completely, entirely broken into pieces. I watch my beautiful wife suffer terrible, dark, heavy emotional pain. I can easily stop her painful tears with 3 simple short words. I can simply tell her our precious daughter is still alive. But I must keep my old mouth completely tightly closed every single day. If I make one small stupid mistake, my daughter will die today. I must act like a perfectly sad, broken, lonely old father. I work in my green garden every morning like a normal man. I talk to my quiet neighbors about the warm, sunny weather. I go to the busy grocery store and buy our simple food. I smile fake sad smiles when kind people ask about my health. I thank them for their sweet, gentle prayers and warm thoughts. Nobody knows I am carrying a massive, invisible, heavy steel building inside me. Late at night, I sit alone in my dark, quiet living room. I think about my brave, smart daughter hiding in the distant shadows. I wonder if she is completely safe and eating warm, good food. I worry about her lonely, quiet life constantly in the dark. But I know the secret plan is moving forward very carefully now. Marcus is taking the rich insurance money and feeling completely, absolutely safe. He is making small, greedy mistakes because he feels so incredibly powerful. The silent, invisible trap is slowly closing around his neck today. Time passed very slowly after that secret dark morning call. Marcus played the sad, lonely husband perfectly for a few short weeks. He received the massive $3 million from the rich insurance company quickly. His fake tears completely disappeared when the clean money finally arrived safely. Marcus sold the beautiful, quiet house he shared with Sophie. He bought a massive, expensive, modern apartment high above the busy city. He bought very fast, expensive, shiny sports cars. He started traveling to beautiful, warm beaches and eating at very fancy, rich restaurants every day. I watched his new, shiny life quietly from the dark shadows. I looked at his happy social media pictures every single night. He looked incredibly relaxed and completely, totally victorious. He truly believed his perfect, deadly plan was a massive, absolute success. Then a beautiful young woman named Elena appeared in his pictures. She was his secret romantic mistress for 2 long years. Now they walked together proudly in the bright, warm daylight. They drank expensive, sweet wine and smiled bright, happy smiles together everywhere. My poor sweet wife Evelyn cried when she saw those happy pictures. She thought Marcus was just trying to heal his broken heart. She did not know he was celebrating a successful dark murder. I held her shaking hands and stayed completely, perfectly silent. Marcus was becoming incredibly comfortable and very deeply arrogant. He stopped hiding his dirty, dark secrets completely. He thought Sophie was dead, and I was just a foolish old man. He did not know his comfortable, happy life was a massive, dangerous trap. Sophie and her secret lawyers collected all his new public mistakes. Every expensive vacation and happy picture was solid legal proof. Marcus was building his own dark, heavy prison cell every single day. We just waited patiently for the absolute perfect exact moment to strike. I continued my normal boring daily routine without making any mistakes. I waved at my friendly neighbors and went to the quiet grocery store. Nobody knew I was a silent secret soldier. I was protecting my living daughter by pretending she was completely gone forever. Sometimes Marcus called me on the phone to say hello. He used his soft, gentle voice to ask about my quiet life. He acted like a wonderful, caring son who missed his beautiful dead wife. Every single word he spoke was a terrible, dirty poison. I answered him politely and kept my dark anger completely hidden. I knew he was just checking to make sure I suspected nothing. He wanted to feel totally, incredibly secure in his massive, rich victory. His arrogant confidence was exactly what we needed him to feel. 9 long, painful months passed since the terrible dark boating accident. Sophie called me again with a very calm, serious voice. She told me the heavy legal trap was completely officially ready. She told me to invite Marcus to our quiet house for a special dinner. I called his phone and invited him to eat warm food with us. I said we wanted to remember Sophie on this sad anniversary. Marcus accepted my quiet dinner invitation immediately. His smooth, polite voice sounded incredibly, perfectly normal and very deeply calm. Friday evening arrived very slowly with a cold, dark gray sky. Marcus drove his loud, expensive sports car to our simple, quiet house. He arrived exactly 5 minutes early like a perfectly polite young man. He wore a clean dark suit and carried expensive red wine. I opened the heavy wooden door and welcomed him inside gently. He hugged my crying wife Evelyn and acted incredibly deeply sad. He played the grieving perfect husband absolutely beautifully. I watched his fake smooth performance with very cold observant quiet eyes. We sat around the large wooden kitchen table together warmly. Evelyn cooked hot delicious pot roast because it was Sophie's favorite meal. We started eating quietly while the dark night covered the clear windows. The warm food tasted like dry sand in my dry mouth. Marcus talked about his new busy life and his expensive modern apartment. He carefully avoided talking about his beautiful secret new girlfriend Elena. He only told us the nice, clean, safe parts of his new rich life. He was a professional, highly skilled, dangerous liar. He looked at me with fake warm concern in his dark eyes. He asked me how my tired old heart was feeling lately. He acted like a kind, loving son who truly cared about my poor health. His dirty, empty lies made me feel incredibly sick. I smiled a fake warm smile and told him I felt fine. We talked about simple, boring things for 40 long, slow minutes. He drank his rich red wine and felt completely, incredibly safe. He had absolutely no idea the deadly storm was already here. I watched him wipe his clean mouth with a white napkin. He looked completely, totally relaxed in our quiet, familiar dining room. He thought he won the massive deadly game permanently and forever. My old heart beat very fast because I knew the final ending. I poured him another full glass of sweet, rich red wine. I wanted him to feel like a very special, honored, important guest. I played the blind, foolish father role absolutely perfectly tonight. He smiled and drank the wine without any dark, worried thoughts. We were eating sweet dessert when the front doorbell rang loudly. The sudden sharp noise broke the quiet, heavy peace inside the room. Marcus looked up from his white plate feeling slightly confused. He asked me if I expected any late visitors tonight. I looked directly into his dark, greedy eyes for a long second. I told him I was waiting for a very special, important guest. I stood up from my comfortable wooden chair slowly. I walked toward the front door with a very fast beating heart. I opened the heavy front door and looked into the dark night. My beautiful, sweet daughter Sophie was standing right there on the porch. She looked incredibly strong and very deeply, entirely calm. The massive, painful, heavy weight finally lifted off my tired old shoulders. We walked back into the bright, warm dining room together slowly. Evelyn looked up and dropped her metal fork immediately on the table. She made a loud, broken sound that I will never ever forget. She ran across the room and hugged her dead daughter incredibly tightly. Evelyn cried massive, hot, wet tears of pure, absolute, total joy. She held Sophie like she would never, ever let her go again. I looked away from my happy, crying wife and watched Marcus carefully. His reaction was the most terrifying, dark thing I ever saw. Marcus did not look happy or relieved to see his dead wife. His expensive red wine glass slipped from his shaking right hand. It crashed loudly onto the hard wooden floor into tiny, sharp pieces. His face turned completely white like a cold, pale ghost. He could not speak or breathe or move his shaking hands. The absolute, pure, terrifying shock completely paralyzed his entire physical body. The perfect, shiny, fake world he built was completely destroyed instantly. He was staring directly at a living, breathing, scary ghost. He tried to stand up, but his weak legs failed him completely. He fell back into his heavy wooden chair with a loud bump. His dark eyes were wide open in pure, massive, absolute panic. He knew his terrible, dark, secret crimes were completely exposed forever. I stood silently and watched the cruel, greedy monster suffer deeply. This was the exact quiet justice we waited 9 long months for. The powerful rich killer was reduced to a shaking, terrified little boy. The heavy truth finally crushed his fake, shiny plastic mask entirely. He realized he could not escape this massive, perfectly planned trap. The quiet dead girl returned from her dark, watery grave today. She was standing right here to steal his rich, fake life away. The silent, heavy ghost was finally ready to speak again. Sophie gently kissed her crying mother and told her everything was fine. Then she sat down perfectly calmly at the quiet wooden table. She looked directly at her terrified, shaking husband. Her beautiful face was incredibly cold and very strictly serious today. "Hello, Marcus," she said with a very quiet, firm, strong voice. Marcus opened his dry mouth, but no clear words came out at all. His smart, confident brain completely shut down in pure, sudden terror. He could not explain this impossible, massive, dark nightmare. Sophie told him to stay completely seated in his comfortable chair. She said very strong, powerful people were waiting right outside the house. If he tried to run away, they would stop him immediately. Marcus looked at me, searching for any small, tiny help. I looked back at him with absolutely zero warm, gentle mercy. Sophie told him the heavy legal fraud charges were officially filed today. She mentioned the massive $3 million insurance money clearly. She told him the secret police knew about his dangerous boat sabotage. She said the smart detectives read all his secret dirty emails. They knew exactly how long he waited to murder her perfectly. A heavy, suffocating silence completely filled the large, warm room. Marcus realized his entire evil criminal life was totally exposed. He tried to say he was incredibly sorry for his bad mistakes. He tried to use his sweet fake voice to beg for mercy. But his terrible dirty lies did not work on us anymore. We knew he was a cold, calculating, greedy monster inside. The loud front doorbell rang again very sharply in the dark night. Two serious police detectives walked into our bright, warm dining room. They wore dark official suits and carried heavy metal handcuffs. Marcus stood up slowly with weak, shaking, tired legs. He knew his dark, deadly game was officially completely over forever. The strict police officers grabbed his arms entirely firmly. They locked the heavy, cold metal handcuffs around his shaking wrists tightly. They pulled the greedy, cruel monster out of our safe, warm house. The dark, invisible war was finally, completely finished today. We were a broken family, but we survived the massive, deadly storm. I hugged my sweet living daughter and my crying happy wife together. Our strong, solid family foundation never ever broke or failed us. We sat down at the table and held our shaking hands together. We had a very long, difficult healing journey ahead of us. But we were incredibly safe from the dangerous, cruel city monster. The dark, cold shadows were officially totally gone from our beautiful home. The serious judge sent Marcus to a dark, cold prison for many long years. His shiny, fake rich life was entirely destroyed forever. He lost his expensive apartment and his fast sports cars. The cruel, greedy monster finally received his absolute true heavy punishment. My brave daughter Sophie slowly started rebuilding her beautiful new life safely. She did not have to hide in the dark, cold shadows anymore. She found a wonderful new job and bought a small, quiet house. She visited us every single Sunday for a warm, happy family dinner. My sweet wife Evelyn completely stopped crying hot, sad, wet tears. Her broken, heavy heart slowly healed with pure, absolute warm love. Our quiet house was full of bright, happy smiles and loud, joyful laughter again. The terrible, dark, heavy storm was officially totally gone from our lives. I sit on my wooden front porch every single quiet morning now. I drink my hot black coffee and watch the bright golden sun rise. I think about the massive, heavy secret I carried for 9 long months. It was the hardest, most difficult job of my entire life. I am an old retired structural engineer, and I understand heavy foundations perfectly. A strong family is exactly like a massive, solid, tall building. You must build a very strong, quiet foundation to survive the absolute worst, terrible storms. We survived the massive, deadly earthquake together. Surviving a terrible, dark betrayal requires incredible patience and pure, silent strength. You must hold the heavy weight quietly until the perfect, right moment arrives. I protected my beautiful, sweet daughter and saved my precious, happy family. Our strong, solid foundation never broke, and we are totally safe forever.